Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing, hopefully entertaining episode of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Spinoff campaign, also known as the Orion campaign. And as you can see, we are here with even more wonderful guests, which I'm sure a lot of the viewers are familiar with because they are awesome people that auditioned for the campaign and are going to be guests today. So I'm going to start by having each of our guest players introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Hales. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I'm playing Anastasia Ilves, a student that graduated from the Russian school.
I am Gremlin Mike. Mike or Gremlin is fine. I prefer he/him pronouns. I am from East Windsor, Enfield, Connecticut. I just recently moved, so yeah. And today I will not be playing my audition character, Felix Wolfblood. I will be playing a new character, Vladimir Nos Veratu.
So the warm-up question today is I would like for each person to please share with us some childhood memory. It doesn't have to be anything life-changing, but it has to be something significant to you in some way, even if it was just a simple activity of, for example, I went fishing with my dad, but maybe that memory was significant to you. It doesn't have to be anything tragic. It doesn't have to be anything sad, but it can be if you want. Any memory that you had in your childhood that you think is significant to your character.
So you wish to know about my past. Well, I suppose best would be how I got expelled from Durmstrang. It was my 15th year as being alive, but I guess the 5th year there. Well, I was quite happy at that school. The administration was very loose on what most would consider dark arts. Well, my brother, he and I, from a young age, were taught to practice certain spells. 2 of the unforgivable curses on each other, quite regularly. It was our parents' bidding that we would get stronger and stronger from it. Well, one year we were practicing such magics, and things got a bit heated. I killed my brother that day. And that is why I was expelled.
Well, my memory has 2 parts. The first is when I set foot at Camp Elawani. At first, I met 2 people I consider to be good friends, Roxy and Levi. And when I first met Levi, I thought he was ridiculous. But I say that fondly now. I had challenged his friend to a duel. His friend did not wish to do it, so he took place, and it was a good fun. Cast tap dancing and tickling charms, the fun kind of cutesy stuff. And then after, we went out with other people from the camp to a pizza place, and over dinner played Truth or Dare. And I was dared to kiss the person I liked. And so I kissed Levi, and thus began our summer romance.
Also, Hales, you took the extra mile today for today's session because you did something with your eyes today.
I did. I have contacts in that make my eyes look like cats.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I see
look
that.
at the
That's super
camera.
cool.
See if
That's
Yeah.
super cool.
They're awesome. Very jealous
Awesome.
right now.
That's
we're on
dedication.
back order for 2 months, and I was like, I don't have 2 months. I have 2 days, so I special ordered these in 2 days.
Hey.
Well, I appreciate that. It's just a very good touch. Well, let us begin with a flashback. So we are going to go back to, I believe the year is going to be 1993, is what we said.
Yes.
We have Nos and we have Anna, short for Anastasia, correct?
Yes.
And they both are at this camp together. Would either of you like to describe to the viewers all about this camp?
This camp is a magical school in Canada on the coast. Kind of a mixture of like an old castle keep in college. And it's where anybody of magical persuasion can go and study forms of magic. It started out as mostly like wizards, but after a few interesting gates opened, all sorts of magical beings came through, and it's kind of like run by a board of administration to keep track of all these new people and their magic.
So you guys are at this camp. You both are, I think you both said you were 13 years old.
I am, yes.
I am maybe 13 then.
She'd be 13. All right, we'll keep it simple and say that you were 13.
Okay.
The summer of 1993 is actually when Juan gets his token in his dreams. And actually, no, Roxana attends Koldovstorets in 1994. So Roxanne is actually 10 at this moment.
Yeah.
Which would make Natasha 11, and I think that would make Alexander like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So Alexander's about you guys' age as well. And since Nos was from Durmstrang, do you remember what year you would have been kicked out of Durmstrang, Nos?
If it's 93 right now, then he would have been kicked out at the end of 95. I was 15 when I got kicked out.
You were 15 when you got kicked out, which means that you were in Durmstrang at the same time as Vienno.
Oh.
Because Vienno graduated from Durmstrang in 1991. So, in 1991, what year would you have been if you were 15 in 1990?
If he's 15 in 95, he'd be
First
elected
year.
in 91.
Okay. Then I think it sounds like you just made it to Durmstrang right when Vienna was about to graduate in your first year.
Okay.
So I doubt that you guys would have really known each other that well, if
I
at all.
maybe saw him
But-
in the halls once or twice.
Okay. So, but if you were to see him again, you might recognize
Yeah,
him.
it'd be like, I know you, but how?
Yeah. Okay, good to establish that. Cool. Now that we figured that out, I would like for both Hales and Gremlin Mike to roll an initiative, please. I'm going to say, Anna, that you are having lunch at the table. There's a bunch of other like camp kids around. And I'm going to say that one of the kids about your age approaches your table and he's carrying a tray of food and he asks, "Is this seat taken?"
No, it's not. So just for him to sit down.
He'll have a seat and he's going to start eating next to you, and it might be a little bit awkward because I guess he's not ridiculously extroverted, so he just needed a place to sit, and right now he's just kind of sitting next to you eating, but not at the moment starting conversation.
She'll look down at her plate, and it's obvious that she doesn't really talk to many people a lot. So she'll look over and she'll say, well, what's your name?
He swallows. The kid has darkish hair, relatively tan complexion. And after he swallows, he says, Alex Schvetz.
She'll turn so she can extend her hand. And she'll say, it's nice to meet you. I am Anastasia. Anastasia Ilves.
He'll go ahead and shake your hand. Nice to meet you, Anna. Do Do you go to our school?
Yes, I do. Podolsperes.
What house are you in?
I am in the Court of the Sky, Velez.
Oh, you're one of Velez. Okay. You can tell kind of from his expression that he's Velez. Okay. Like, I mean, I think he's trying to be really polite, but at the same time you can catch he's got a slight okay, Velez, because it's not his house, so
If he is looking around the table, and he's an observant person, he would see that there is a rather large wolf-looking dog that has kind of lifted its head off its paws and turned to look at him as he is talking to her.
the dog pops his head up and eyes this new kid suspiciously. And Alex seems to get a little bit nervous about that. And he said, "Oh, hello, I didn't realize that you had another friend eating with you."
She'll reach over and kind of like put her hand on the dog's head and says, "Yes, Aries and I are a package deal. I get nervous in new places, so he is my companion."
Oh, I see. How long have you guys been a package deal, I guess?
As long as I can remember.
So, he says, still looking at the dog, why does he look like he is deciding on whether or not to eat me?
She'll chuckle and she'll say, "Well, some students at our school aren't very kind. I usually end up with quite a few bumps and bruises from most people that I meet. I am getting quicker at casting, though."
That's good. Sounds about right, though. So, have you been to this camp before?
No, it's my first time here. My parents thought it might be a good idea to keep me busy over the summers. I prefer to keep up my studies, learn new things if I can, and there's some very interesting classes at this camp.
What kind of classes are you most interested in at this camp?
Well, I'm very interested in transformation magic, other types of transfigurations, and defense against, well, I don't believe it should be defense against the dark arts. I believe it should be called the study of dark magic, if we have to call it dark.
You don't believe we should call it dark?
I think it's about intent. For example, I like to sew. I use a cutting hex to cut the clothes, but if I intended, I could use it against a person to hurt them. I wouldn't, but most spells that are considered dark, I feel people don't really understand the magic behind it. They don't want to learn the theory.
You know what, Anna? I like your thinking, the kid says. What you say makes perfect sense.
However, I usually keep this to myself, as I feel many people want things to be simple. They want to say, this is bad, this is good, but it's more complicated than that. She'll look down when she says that, and it's like there's lines to be read between, but he might not be able to figure out what those in between are.
I agree with you. The world's, as I gotten a little older, the world's not so black and white as we were taught when we were kids. There's a lot of gray areas.
For example, all these rumors about England, about this politician, Tom Riddle, I think, logically speaking, wizards are stronger than muggles in a lot of ways. what I've learned in Muggle studies, without magic, they have technologies far beyond what we have in our world, from what I can understand of the subject. I'm not very good at it.
It's going to be at this point that lunchtime is going to start to wrap up, and some of the kids are already like starting to leave to go to whatever it is that is next for them at the camp. And I'm going to say that you and Alec like leave together. Maybe you're still chatting because Alec and you seem to be in relatively the same wavelength, and you're just talking about things in general. Meanwhile, Nos. So, Nos, how do you describe for me how you get yourself into the situation that you get yourself in with this other character?
Oh, quite simple. I am practicing with my twin brother.
Okay.
And quite frankly, winning.
Okay, this other person is your twin brother. Does the twin brother have a name?
Yes. Victor Veratu.
Victor Foratu. Okay. If you could set that up for me, like how...
Anna and Alex are headed out of the cafeteria and quite likely out onto the campus grounds where by the lake they could hear the shouts of screams of agony. If they were to investigate, they would soon see one boy, very pale, one to look at him in quick glance might suspect that he is a vampire, just how pale he is. He is standing over another boy who you can't really see at the moment. His wand pointed at him, a very wicked smirk on his face as the other boy writhes in pain. The Cruciatus curse well within him. Okay,
so let's start with Alec and Hales. Hales, go ahead and roll me an observe hearing if you don't have. You are going to hear these cries of pain. How do you react?
Okay, so she'll hear them, so she'll like flinch and put her hand to her ear like, oh.
What's wrong? Alec asks.
I think somebody's in trouble. I don't know, maybe by the lake? And she'll turn, and as soon as she reacted, Aries will also turn and start running towards the sound.
As soon as you say, I think, someone's being attacked, Alec will immediately take out his wand.
Yeah, well, she'll have her wand, but she'll be running towards...
He will follow after you, because I think you're hearing it better than he is. You're hearing the scream better than he is, and when you investigate, you will see the scene before you as Mike described.
For a moment, she pauses as if trying to figure out the best course of action, and then she gestures with her hand, like in a roundabout way, and Aries will run around the other side of the boy, and she'll take her wand, and she'll say finite, and she'll point it towards the boys.
Okay.
To see if it will end the spell.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a spellcraft.
I got a 7 with the d6s and an 8 with the d4s.
Okay. So go ahead and roll an oppose. 2d6 plus 2d4.
I got a total of 13.
13. Okay, so she does beat your roll, so I'm just going to say that at least temporarily she manages to break the Cruciatus curse.
So with the curse being ended, Victor on the ground will start to come to, and Vlad will have this perplexed look, like, I did not end my spell. Why is this happening?
He'll hear a very baritone growl from one side, and if he turns to look, there's this giant wolf-looking dog, like, growling at him, and a girl holding her wand out. And Anna will say, "What are you doing?"
Alec will also have his wand out and is pointing towards your direction as well. But he doesn't say anything at first. He's just kind of following Anna's lead for right now.
And she'll be like turning the wand towards the standing brother to be like, what are you doing? Attacking another student?
Vlad will turn and as soon as he sees the growling dog, he will in turn snarl back. He is not intimidated by this in the least, and he turns around and says, I'm merely practicing with my brother. What are you doing? Vic, by this time, would probably be getting to his feet, and you would now realize that these are twin brothers.
Identical?
Yes,
or
identical.
Identical twin brothers. Okay.
Almost mirror images of each other.
Mm-hmm.
She'll look over out of the side of her eye toward Alec and see intent. That's what makes it dark. Well, that's an unforgivable curse, but still.
Alec, in response, will turn towards the brother that had the spell put on him, and he will directly ask the brother, is what he's saying true?
Yes, I lost my concentration.
You just practice this on each other?
It's
Don't
our...
you know the effect that would cause to your body, to your brain?
It is our... Vlad, it is our parents' will. Would you rather we disobey them and be killed outright?
When he says that, there's a change in demeanor, and it's almost as if it's a mixture of defiance and fear, but leaning more towards defiance, and she'll say, those are no parents. It doesn't matter if you share their blood. That's unacceptable.
Perhaps we've been raised in different ways, then I pity you for yours.
If either of the twins look closer at her, even though she's wearing like long-sleeved robes and they go down and they cover her legs and she's wearing boots, from what you can see of her face and neck, there are scars that are some of them are more healed than others, some of them are more obvious. And she'll say, well, I don't remember what happened to me, but if my parents was like yours, that's not something you do to a child.
They only wish for us to be prepared in what is to come.
Alec asks, what do you mean, what is to come?
Have you not been paying attention? We are on the rise. We are soon to become where we always were meant to be, at the top.
We? Alec asks.
Anna will say, those whispers of riddle.
Ah, yes, the Riddle Initiative. Mother and father are beating at the moment.
Trying to hold back. But in an instant, it's almost like the nervous, shy person Alec ate lunch with is suddenly replaced by someone of the completely opposite demeanor. And she'll keep her wand raised and she'll say, nothing he promises will make this world better. There's other ways to fix what people think are broken. And it's almost as if it's like that defiance is there, but it's like she's lost some sort of like control over herself. Like, that's the best way I can explain it.
Okay. Alec is gonna watch you cautiously because he's very curious about what's happening and what's about to happen.
Now then, if you are done getting your nose into our business. We should be getting back to our practice. Right, brother? And Vic will look at him kind of wide-eyed and a little scared and be like, yes, Vlad.
Anna will look over and say, you always have a choice. And she's looking at Victor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other brother.
And she'll look at him and she'll be like, our family doesn't decide who we are. We decide who we are. There's always a place for you if you choose it. And she'll kind of step back, and Aries will come around to her side, and there's nothing really more she can do if that's what he's deciding.
Vlad merely turns up his nose to her, and starts to walk off. Come, Victor, we must practice. Victor will hesitate a moment, but then scurry off to follow his brother.
Alec is going to watch them scurry off, and as they leave, he also will lower his wand and put it away in his pocket.
Anna lowers her hand, but she doesn't put her wand away, and she's like shaking a little bit. And she doesn't turn around to look at Alec right away.
Alec looks towards Anna, and he does have a genuinely, even if you're not looking at him, he does have a genuinely concerned look on his face. And he asks, are you alright?
It's like she's making a really hard decision to turn around. But she does it slowly, and she's looking at his feet, and she's like, we all have secrets, and we all have families. But their parents, that's just wrong. I didn't get a choice in who I am. And she'll very, very slowly look up, and some of the scars on her neck and face make a little bit more sense. Her eyes are more yellow, more ochre. And she'll be like, this is why I don't have many friends.
At this, Alec looks very surprised, a little shocked, and he says, So you're And then after he says that, it looked like he was just reflexively, he was about to reach over. You see him physically about to reach for his wand, but then he stops. And then when he stops, he relaxes his hand back down on his waist, and he says, your secret's safe with me.
There's a flicker of hope in her eyes, just the slightest bit. And she'll say, I've been at our school for 3 years in Velez, seeing people have friends, knowing that me being there, I don't know why they've allowed it. I mean, most schools don't. But people and she'll spit the next name that comes out of her mouth. She's like, people like Grayback. They're not the only people out there with this. I didn't choose it. I don't think any werewolf does. But she doesn't say the word werewolf very loud. It's more whispered, because she's aware that you're outside and people are walking by.
Yeah.
And she's like, we choose who we are, not what we are.
My father always taught us that people fear what they don't understand. If anyone back at school gives you trouble, you be sure to let me know.
She'll nod and she'll say, "Same here."
I take loyalty very seriously.
As do I. And you can tell now, like, she wants a life. And she says, "I have made a lot of sacrifices to get this far in school. And I can't help but feel that this riddle and the people who follow him who do that to their own children." And she just trails off.
Don't worry about that. Like I said, if anyone gives you trouble, let me know. And I'll make sure you get through school.
That was an out of character squeal.
Yeah.
She'll nod and she'll say, "Excellent. And no, Aries won't eat you." She laughs and she like reaches for his hand and she'll like slowly extend it in front of Aries' nose and he'll like sniff and he'll like lick his hand. See? Just a dog. A very big dog.
When you do that, Alec was clearly very nervous as you were doing it. And he seems to be the kind of person who tries really hard to not seem like he's afraid all the time at all. He tries to be very brave. But definitely he seems nervous around Aries, so when you were doing that, he got really scared. Not scared, but nervous. And when Aries licked his hand, he's like, yeah, thanks, he says as he like wipes it on his robes. Why don't we go to the next class?
She'll nod.
You'll walk and he'll put his arm around your shoulder when you walk to the next class.
She'll kind of like lean in.
And we'll end the scene there. Okay.
Oh my god! I love Alex so much more. He kind of
Oh, I love Alec.
he popped up in the in character too, and like loved him from then too.
Alec's a very complicated and simple man at the same time. So
Aren't we all complicated and simple at the same time?
all right. So we're going to fast forward. It is now the year 1999. We are in the middle of November right now because we just had some downtime. You all got to go to, spoilers, you came back from Ilvermorny after finding out all about what's been going on at the Zodiac Games. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it'll be like a week. We'll say like a week-ish has passed since you came back from Ilvermorny. And you guys are again on your plane jet, given another briefing for another mission. And Agent Scythe is going to explain to you. So agents, we've got another investigation for you to take a look at. And it's not going to be pretty. We have some images. I have some images to send you that are a little bit disturbing. But hopefully you can get to the bottom of this. So you will be taken to Sao Goncalo de Campos. There was a murder scene that had occurred in a very quiet village. The victims were mutilated. And she's going to show you images of the bodies that were found. And it looks like they were in the basement of this house. And the bodies were looks like they were like clawed to death. And they're in pools of blood. And she says this village has had a history of rumors of werewolves, including actual video footage that claim the subjects within the videos to be werewolves. And so, she's going to send you like a clip. In real life, this is not even a joke. In real life, if you look up Sao Goncalo de Campos and werewolf, you will see that there are some video footages of supposed proof of werewolves in Sao Goncalo de Campos in Brazil, just as a FYI. So she's basically, so she's gonna show you those videos. Here, I'll send a link if any of you guys are curious, and I'll put it in the Discord chat. She says, your mission is to investigate this murder and determine, was this done by some crazed maniac killer or killers? Or could these rumors of werewolves in this village have something to do with it?
Ugh, this is grisly.
Very nice.
From the video footage she shows us, does it look like werewolves that we know of?
I'll leave it up to you, because out of character, I'll leave it up to you if you want to interpret this as actual werewolf or just another like fake photoshopped image or video compilation. I'll let you decide what you think your character thinks this is.
Well, Felix believes, knows that werewolves exist. He's just not sure if this is real. This one case is real or not. Like, he looks at the photo and he doesn't quite think it's real.
Roll a first aid or roll a magical beasts, whatever is higher for you, whichever you wish. Both Felix and Celeste recognize from the image of the mutilated bodies that it certainly looks like the work of an actual werewolf or werewolves.
Well, I don't know about the video, but this does kind of look like werewolf from stuff I've seen in books.
If it is a werewolf, then what do you think would stop them? Silver bullets or something?
Should I roll can I roll knowledge of what I know about werewolves and their weaknesses?
Yeah, magical beasts.
Can I make... Yeah.
So while the idea of silver bullets is a very common belief that Muggles have in terms of killing a werewolf for those who believe in werewolves. In reality, at least in the Harry Potter world, silver bullets doesn't really make a difference against werewolves. What silver mixed with dittany, I think, applied to a wound helps protect you from a werewolf bite. But silver bullets is not necessarily going to be any more effective than regular bullets against a werewolf, at least in this world.
So, what kind of weaknesses do we know about our werewolf?
Can we just shoot it?
I don't know if that's a good idea. Werewolves are still people, they just don't have any control. Once they change...
In the terms of self-defense, can we just shoot it?
I think so. At the very least, it would slow it down.
So to specify, from what I was saying, a mixture of powdered silver and dittany applied to a fresh bite will seal the wound and allow the victim to live on as a werewolf. Although tragic tales are told of knowing victims begging for death rather than becoming a werewolf. So many times the bite from a werewolf is lethal, but you can stop the death by silver and dittany. However, that means you would live on as a werewolf to the end of your days.
And the bite is through the saliva.
Through the saliva, yes.
Vienno,
Yes.
did you ever finish that ring I asked you about?
Yep. I have that. I hand over the ring that I made.
Alright, thank you.
It's nothing special. It's put that ring on your finger, hold your hand, toss the target, and focus on the ring. You should basically be able to use Stupefy.
Alright, well, this will at least be a bit handy. Better than nothing.
Yes.
Putting on the ring.
Basically, I made the stunning spell into the ring.
What time of year, what time of the month is it? What's the moon cycle right now? Are we nearing a full moon?
Yeah, so I did look that up. So it is... Yeah, I did look that up. I specifically looked up moon phases in the year 1999 in November. And I believe it was November 23rd was the next full moon, if I remember from what I saw.
Harry Potter, werewolves do have symptoms leading up to the full moon,
Yeah.
like increased
Right.
hearing, frailty, stuff like that, increased sense of smell, kind of like all their sensory stuff just gets jacked.
The actual murder took place 2 days ago. That is kind of weird. Like, if it was werewolves, it's nowhere near technically a full moon. So that might make it skeptical.
I mean,
Make you skeptical a
it
bit.
could be a born werewolf because they can change
However,
whenever.
only if they're pure blood.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, if they're pure blood, it'd certainly be a tricky one.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt someone if they're just a victim of circumstance.
They're clearly not in control of it. They're not taking the necessary precautions.
Well, they're not always able to. I'm gonna motion to Nyx outside because she doesn't know this shit.
Sure. Michael, I almost said Cedric. Michael will turn off because you said Michael can turn off the communications.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
Yes, he can.
So Michael will turn it off the communications.
The problem is, Michael, with lycanthropes, there is a potion that they can use to maintain control. Thing is, a lot of werewolves have a hard time finding work and therefore don't have the money or skills to even make potions. Children who are born or made werewolves very young aren't even allowed to go to most schools. He just simply may not be able to because of a lack of ability or even knowledge if they were denied going to school.
We need to find whoever has done this in any case and find out the circumstances. And then we can decide what we end up doing with them.
Yes. I just don't want to jump to conclusions.
That's fair, but I mean, if we go in without a plan and they attack, we're gonna have no choice.
Well, let me see what I can learn real quick.
I mean, I can stop them in their tracks, and I can hold them off, that kind of thing, but...
Long enough for us to leave safely.
And I could potentially try and knock them out, but who knows how effective this ring is, but...
I mean, I can impede them, I can hit them with the jelly legs curse.
I'll see what I can do about finding out about whoever did this or whatever I can divine from the situation.
Get us a better starting point.
Yeah, Felix is going to just lay out the images around him. He's going to pull out his crystal ball and he's just going to focus. I'm focusing on all the images and the crystal ball itself.
You're going to see the image of the mutilation start to turn into color, and you're going to see a large orb of white light, a large orb of pure white light in the center of the room before the vision goes away.
Interesting. An orb of white light. Do I have any idea what that was?
Roll in astronomy, I guess.
I am very good at astronomy. That's a 24.
Whew.
It looks like moonlight. A big orb of moonlight.
There was a white ball of light. And I think it was moonlight. But could maybe a spell artificially make moonlight?
That sounds
There is a
ridiculous.
possibility. It could be done.
What?
Vienno knows that there is a spell called Daylight, a daylight spell, which is actually what Hermione uses to get rid of the Devil's Snare in Book 1. So in theory, creating a moonlight, somebody could come up with a spell like that.
Then maybe, and this is a hypothetical, maybe the werewolf in question wasn't prepared because they weren't expecting moonlight.
That's a possibility, and a scary one. Essentially weaponizing werewolves.
We're gonna need to look into this a lot and find out what's
And-
going on.
We're gonna have to be very careful.
Oh yeah.
No offense,
Absolutely.
does not any one of you three get tanned?
Yeah,
That would not be fun.
I know better than to get close, up
Mm.
close to someone who could kill me easily.
What is Gremlin Mike doing?
Don't hug a werewolf.
I can hug them all I want. I can't get turned.
How are we supposed to find these werewolves? If they're just like normal people until they turn.
Well,
We have about 10 days into the next full moon. They might be starting to show symptoms, depending on if they're pure blood or made.
we could investigate the area of the incident and try and find clues there.
Also, in that article that Hart posted, it literally says that their legend for werewolves is just that, like, if you're the 13th child of your parents, that you could just, like, become a werewolf on your 13th birthday.
The 13th child.
Like, happy
Wow.
13th birthday, you're a werewolf now.
Well,
That's a lot of effort.
I'm gonna say that that definitely prevents them from having an overpopulation problem.
If you turn,
Yes.
if you turn 13, maybe around Lent or on a Friday the 13th, you're more likely to just, like, turn into a werewolf, according to this legend. It's great.
Okay. Well, good to know.
So
I
weird.
learn something every day.
You started
I
the
guess-
crime scene?
Yeah, as we investigated.
We would land and head towards the crime scene.
All right. So you'll arrive at the. You will make your way to the crime scene. So you'll land in Brazil, and you'll probably take, like, some sort of transportation, Muggle transportation, to get you to the town of São Gonçalo de Campos. And it's you'll reach this suburban-y neighborhood, and as you approach the house where the scene of the crime had occurred, everybody roll an observe spot, please. You guys get to the house. What do you do when you get to the actual house?
How busy are the streets?
It's very quiet.
Very quiet.
This is a relatively unassuming, quiet part of São Gonçalo de Campos.
Does our status allow us entry, or do we have credentials or warrant or anything that can...
You'll be given a warrant, but they're going to warn you, though, that the people who lived in the house died during the attack as well. Whoever was living there died.
All right.
So it should be empty.
It should be empty.
All right.
They didn't provide you with any keys, so you'll have to figure out how to get into the house if you want to get into the house.
I'm gonna look around, see if I can find a way, maybe check a few windows.
You're going to look around and see if you can check a few windows. As Felix is looking around at the windows, Michael, you will notice that the neighboring house next door, you'll see a figure looking, like, through the shades of the windows, and you kind of get the feeling that she's been watching your group this entire time, ever since you arrived at the house. And as soon as you notice her, your eyes meet for a moment, and then she quickly like shuts the window.
Well, it seems the residents of this town don't like visitors.
I mean, considering what just happened, would you?
Yes. Especially if they're officers, but
Foreign officers.
hey, as long as it gets this thing out of here.
They
Maybe we
might
could-
not think the same way.
I'm
Perhaps we
gonna.
could talk to them. See if they
Yeah.
have anything.
Do you want to go talk to them, or do you want to go in?
I can go talk to them. I'd rather avoid the smell of blood if there's any.
Right.
Mm.
Michael
Right.
wants to try and kick in the door.
Roll a strength athletics.
You're probably given a key.
Athletics.
No, we didn't get given a key, but I was going to do something, but he managed to do it first.
That is a 16. You said athletics, or is it just strength?
Yeah, athletics.
Yeah, 16 then.
Okay. I'm going to say that you kick the door. It'll crack a little bit. You believe you'll eventually be able to kick the door down, but after the first time you kick the door, I'm assuming that will alert the other two agents, and they'll hear you attempting to kick the door. So the other two agents want to do something before he continues to kick the door down. You're welcome to.
I'm just going to the door and try to open the door.
You're going to go up to the door after he kicked it once. The door is locked.
Is the window? Well, I tried to open the window.
I don't think any of the windows would be open.
I mean, try and open them.
The windows will be locked from the other
All right.
side.
Excuse me, Agent Analam. And then he's going to try and kick it again.
All right, you're gonna kick it again. While you're attempting to unlock the door with, it sounds like the only person who knows the Alohomora spell just left.
No,
It sounds like.
I'm just taking it for myself. I do have it.
Oh, do you have it?
Yep, I have it. Of course
I
I
don't
do.
know
that,
want to
man. I'm
use-
just
do you
like,
want-
all right, well.
Do you want to use it now after he's kicked it a second time?
I opened the door when he's trying to kick the door open.
When he's
Are you
trying
saying
to
you're
open
casting the spell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So my foot will go through because the door opened.
Okay. So he will cast the Alohomora spell right when Michael kicks the door a third time, and the door will just open super easily.
Ugh.
Yeah.
you could have just waited and asked if someone could open the door.
You tried the door first. Like, why
I
didn't you just do that?
I wondered if they didn't give us a key. It was already open.
No, they didn't give us a key. We just got a
Yes,
warrant.
and that's why I wondered if the door was already open.
What?
All right. Enough, you two. Let's just get in there and investigate. I think we've already attracted plenty of attention to ourselves as it is.
Celeste, when you are making your way to the other house, you do notice that the mailbox on the house says the name you presume is the name of this family, Mukamutara. For those of you who are watching who think that sounds like a familiar name, it should be a familiar name to you.
Does sound familiar. I'm just trying to remember who it was. I'll just go forward and I'll knock on the door.
Very slowly, it will open up a crack, and you're going to see this woman, relatively olive-skinned woman, and she has dark, curly hair. Probably is in her, I would say, late 30s, early 40s, somewhere around that line, somewhere mid-30s to mid-40s, we'll say. And she says, "Can I help you?" in Portuguese. She says that in Portuguese.
I know Portuguese.
Oh, you do?
I know all the
Perfect.
languages. That's where I put
Perfect.
most of my skill points.
Perfect. "Can I help you?" she says in Portuguese.
Yes, hello. We're trying to investigate what happened with your neighbors on the 11th.
"Are you the police?"
Yes.
"The police were just here yesterday."
We're a separate division. We believe this is something a bit more serious than what we originally thought. I just want to ask you a few questions, if that's alright.
She will open the door. And then she opens the door, she looks around. "Where are the rest of your friends?"
They're going inside the house to investigate there. I just saw you through the window and I wanted to ask you some questions.
Her eyes look a little scared when you mention that your friends went into the house. And she says, "If you think they'll be safe, yes, you can come in."
step inside. You believe there are still danger in the house?
She said, I don't know. There's just been a lot of strange things happening lately, and I just don't feel safe leaving my house.
That's completely understandable. Are you, Mrs. Mukamatara?
Mrs. Mukamotara? Yes.
Thank you very much. So, you said many strange things other than just the night of the attack?
Yes.
What sort of strange things?
But if I tell you, you'll think I'm crazy. The police said I was crazy yesterday.
I'm a bit more open-minded than most police.
Well, you have a warrant, yes?
Yes.
Out of character, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
I'll show it to her.
Okay. I'll tell you everything I saw, but I must warn you, it all sounds very crazy. But I know what I saw.
I'll keep an open mind, I promise.
My neighbors there, they suddenly have started. I see all these different people coming to their house, and not for a party or anything. They come and they don't leave. I didn't know what they were doing at that house. At first, I didn't really give it much notice, but it just seemed like they continued coming in droves. And 2 nights ago, I heard these strange screaming, like not even human, like animalistic screaming from that house, and flashes of light, and I wasn't really sure if they had a party, but it didn't sound like any party that I have ever heard of. And I was looking through the windows, and it looked like there was something going on in the basement, and then there was more screaming, and it then suddenly got very quiet. And when it got quiet, I saw these creatures. They were hunched over, and they looked like dogs, but bigger than dogs, coming from the basement door. And they ran into the woods over there, she says, pointing.
How many dogs were there? If you can remember.
Maybe almost a dozen? Maybe?
Okay.
It was so dark, and I don't know, there could have been more, there could have been less. It was just, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Of course.
There were rumors that there have been werewolves here at our town years ago, but I thought that was just a silly myth. But now I'm not sure.
Do you remember roughly what time of night this was?
I was about to go to bed, so somewhere around 11:30 or so.
Yeah.
It was late.
When you say they had guests coming over in droves, was it dozens of people, 20 or so people?
Sometimes it would be one person, sometimes it would look like a family. I would probably say over the course of it's been going on for maybe the last 2 or 3 months. Maybe total I've seen about almost 40 people go in, and I don't think I've ever noticed anyone come out.
I see. And what were your neighbors' names? How many was in their household?
It was a relatively young couple. They were the Mendoza family.
Mendoza.
It was a husband and wife. I don't really talk very much with them. They tend to keep to themselves.
I see. And before those 2-3 months, did you notice anything else strange about them? Did they come and go at odd times? Did they maybe have... Was there any disturbances over there? Was there any sound complaints? Or...
I always thought that the husband was abusive, because it seemed like I would sometimes hear glass breaking or something smashing over at their house, probably once a month. I think the last time I heard something happening at their house was maybe a couple weekends ago, which out of character would be around the full moon. Out of character.
Okay.
I just hope that whatever happened in that house doesn't happen to anywhere else in this town. We're a very quiet town. Nothing happens here, and I just want it to stay that way.
That's why we're here, to try and make sure this doesn't happen again. Whatever did happen, whether it's lunatics or perhaps even werewolves, I don't see why it couldn't be. We're going to do everything we can to make sure people stay safe. Right? Just make sure you stay in your house. If you hear any noises, lock the doors, and call the police immediately.
When you're talking to her with that last sentence, she sort of like, there's like a glaze of her eyes when you say that, as if she was like not completely there, like not completely hearing what you were saying.
Do I recognize that kind of effect?
Roll a spellcraft mind. Roll a spellcraft mind.
Oh, I'm good at
please.
that. So that's a total of a 14.
Okay. She sort of like shakes something off again, and then she looks at you, and her eyes squint a little bit, and she said, I'm sorry, who are you?
I'm Celeste. I'm a policewoman here asking you about what happened with your neighbors.
Oh, she said, there were already police here yesterday.
We've-
But if I tell you what was happened, you'll think I'm crazy. It's almost like the last however many...
It definitely seems like she was hit with a memory charm or something.
So you don't think she was just hit by a memory charm. You have reason to believe that at some point she had been hit by an obliviate spell, and you have feelings that if somebody has been hit by obliviate spell repeatedly, they have lapses in memory. Like they have a hard time. Sometimes they like space out and don't remember what happened within the last 5 minutes. And she seems to be having these symptoms as if she's been obliviated more than once.
Ma'am, we've been talking for the last 20 minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Have you been having memory problems?
Yes, and I've been seeing the doctor. I was diagnosed a few years ago as having some sort of memory lapsing condition. It's been challenging, but I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's not your
I
fault.
apologize.
When did the memory problems start? If I may ask.
I've been having them since at least the last 3 years.
Have they been getting worse?
I think they've stabilized, according to my doctor. I still get memory lapses every now and then, but I don't think they're getting any worse than they had before.
Okay. Well, I hope the doctors are able to help you.
Thank you. Did you still want me to tell you about what I saw? She said.
You did tell me. I got the notes. You don't have to worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll let you rest. I'm so sorry to disturb you. But thank you for the information. It has been a big help.
Let me know if I can help you with anything else. And
I just have one more question. Why do you think the house is still dangerous?
as I was told from a young girl, my grandmother would tell me that stories about werewolves terrorizing our town. I always thought that she said it to us kids to make us behave. You know, oh, don't disobey your parents because the werewolves will get you. But now it seems like what she says might be true, and if that is the case, I don't know where they're coming from.
Okay. Thank you so much. And just, if you notice anything strange, call your police department immediately. And keep your doors locked at night. Keep safe.
I will, thank you.
Of course. Have a good day.
Meanwhile, back at the house, Vienno and Michael and basically the boys The boys go into the house, and it is... I'm going to say that it's still furnished, but it clearly is very quiet here. Are you guys going to make your way to the basement right away, or are you going to stay up on the main floor first and look around? What are you guys doing?
Felix is gonna look around quickly.
Roll a observe spot. How about Michael and Vienno? What are you guys doing? Or where are you guys doing what you're doing?
He would go to where the pictures were taken.
Down in the basement? Okay. And Vienno is doing what?
I'm keeping the Muggle, stay with the Muggle, don't want to him going all alone
Okay,
in this kind of situation.
So you're staying with Michael the Muggle. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I got a 16.
I'll start with Felix. Felix, you're looking around the main floor. Nothing in particular seems to be out of the ordinary. This seems to be your typical house. But you do notice the fireplace at this house. It looks like it's had a lot of use recently. There does seem to be a pouch next to the fireplace, which is flu powder.
Someone's probably been coming in and out from this way. He's going to investigate the fireplace a bit more.
Sure. I think that really there is nothing else new from investigating closer, other than the fact that you presume that this fireplace has been used a lot through the flu by way of the flu network.
All right. Is there anything else I noticed around the area?
I wouldn't say anything out of the ordinary.
All right. He takes about 2 or 3 minutes and then joins the others down in the basement.
Michael and Vienno, you make your way down to the basement, and it smells like wet dog down here. The bodies are no longer there because the police had arrived. They probably took all of the corpses, but they didn't completely clean up the basement, so you still see a lot of blood, not only on the floors but like spattered along the walls. There's still some broken furniture that had been pushed to the side. You presume that that was probably done by the police after they did their investigation and took whatever evidence they wanted to take. But it's been pushed to the side. And by the way, like, Scythe has been able to give you the police report information, so you have the evidence they've found. And a lot of it was just, these people were mutilated in the middle of the night and weren't able to find any fingerprints, blah, blah, blah. Looks like they were attacked by some animal of some sort. But it was they're really puzzled as to what really happened here. Go ahead and roll an investigate. Yeah, roll an investigate while you're down here. Michael, you're going to notice some rope on the floor where all of the furniture, everything has been pushed out. It looks like the rope has been torn, and there seems to be a lot of it. There seems to be a lot of rope down here for some whatever reason, as well as some broken wooden chairs near the rope. Vienno, you will again notice a lot of fur all over the place, probably where all the wet dog smell is coming from. And I'm going to say that Michael also finds a ripped up patch of some cloth that I don't think you would be able to identify just from your naked eye, but you will notice that. And Vienno, you will find a empty bottle in the corner that seems to have shattered on the floor into smaller pieces, and there's like a dried residue on this bottle.
Okay. I will take I will take sample of the fur that's on the floor.
Okay.
A little bit of wind
Okay.
to myself, and then I try to figure out what this bottle once had.
It clearly looks like a potion bottle. Clearly looks like a
I
potion
try to figure
bottle.
out what that potion was.
Roll me a potion making, unless you have something in your toys, like list of toys, that you think would help you determine what was inside this bottle.
I don't think I have something like that yet,
Okay. Yeah.
but someday maybe.
Okay.
Brewing potion is one of my specialties,
Perfect.
and I rolled double sixes.
Oh, Piano, good job.
That
Piano.
would be 19 in total.
Piano, you're probably going to take like an eyedropper of some sort, and then you'll have some sort of kit that lets you investigate the properties. There looks like there seems to be just enough of the dried of residue that you can actually add some droplets of water to turn into a liquid and actually run some very quick tests. And it's super interesting because based on the ingredients that you can find in this potion, it looks similar to wolfsbane, but it's the exact opposite of wolfsbane. It's similar but opposite at the same time, almost like it's an anti-wolfsbane. And from a critical success, you theorize that whoever drinks this potion has the ability to transform into a werewolf or their lycanthrope form at will without the full moon.
Oh, this is not good. This is not good.
Why? What's wrong?
I think I know what the people here were doing. They were possibly making werewolves here. And making werewolves. And I think they were making them even more dangerous, being able to transform at will.
You think?
Well, that's what I found this potion, and yes, it seems like that's what they were doing. Most likely something went wrong with the last one.
Why would someone do that? That makes no sense.
Maybe they wanted more power. Werewolves being able to transform at their will would be very powerful. And maybe even useful for them.
But would they be under the control of whoever turned them? Or
I don't think so. They might be in control of the werewolf form completely.
We'll say that this is when Felix comes downstairs.
So, I've discovered that someone's been using the flu network to come in and out here, out of this place regularly.
Oh, great.
the what network?
Oh, it's like instant transportation through fireplaces.
Yeah, it sounds stupid. Basically our version of the airport, but not need to stay in the airplane for a while.
Wait. Of course there's teleportation.
Oh, there's also port key.
Why wouldn't
I
there?
don't see anyone here, a port key anywhere around here, so.
Great. Now I have another theory. They were most likely making werewolves here, and then most likely taking them somewhere else from here, using the flu network.
This may be. So you're saying this is werewolf making factory?
Yes, and they're making even powerful werewolves able to transform at will.
Wait, what?
I found something that's basically an anti-wolfsbane.
Frick. Alright. We're gonna need to get to the bottom of this and shut it down somehow. We need to talk to Agent on attack.
I look at the cloth that I picked up. Is there anything on it, or?
Yeah, there is actually. The cloth seems to have some sort of insignia on it, but it's nothing that you recognize, and it's in some language What are do you know Portuguese, Michael?
Yes, I do.
Okay. It's written in Portuguese, but the words that are in Portuguese, the words that it's using in Portuguese don't make any sense to you. So I don't think you'd be able to figure out what the insignia means.
Can I see what that is? Like, do you know what it says, Michael?
Well, it's some sort of Portuguese, but the way that the letters are arranged, it doesn't.
It's almost like it's a made up word in Portuguese. Sort of like if I were to say, for somebody who doesn't know what Toyota means, Toyota is technically a Japanese word.
Right.
Like Toyota is a brand. It's a car brand. If I were to say Toyota to you and you don't know what a Toyota is, it doesn't really mean anything to you. So that's basically what I mean.
But here, and I'll hand it to Felix.
All right, I'm gonna look over it myself. See if I can figure anything out.
Roll a history of magic. Felix, you recognize the insignia and the words to, I'll say that maybe you read about them in some sort of wizarding magazine of some sort. It belongs to a group of werewolf hunters in Brazil.
Huh. This belongs to a group of werewolf hunters. Stationed here in Brazil, but what do they have to do with this? Like, isn't this some werewolf?
Maybe they found out about this operation.
Or maybe one of them was taken here.
Yes, he read it in Wizard Vogue. Wizard Vogue. I love it.
Wizard Vogue, that's good.
Meanwhile, while this is happening, so Anna and Nos. So let me talk about what is going on with you guys. So Anna, you are part of an organization that we're not going to talk about because I want to see if it's revealed during normal roleplay. You're part of an organization, and you actually have a safe house for your organization here in this neighborhood of Sao Goncalo de Campos. Now, normally what happens is people who are refugees come to this safe house and they take the Flu network to get to your organization to safety. The problem is the group of refugees that you know are had been scheduled to arrive at your guys' place because you were notified about them. They're late. They're running late and they haven't arrived yet. So you are going to take the Flu network to the safe house and see if you can find out what happened to them, because they haven't been responding to your owls either when you've been sending them owls. As for Nos, those doggy people that Mrs. Mukamotaro was talking about, some of those people were your buddies and your friends, and I'll let you decide if you were there during the events of that night. You can decide for yourself if you were physically there or if you heard about what happened and you decided to come into the neighborhood to investigate yourself. So, but for whatever reason, you are in that town as well, and you actually were about to go, while you were at the town, you actually saw these strange agents coming in. You see one of them, the female, go into the neighbor's house. You see the other three break down the door and go into this house. So you're watching this from a distance. Maybe you're perched on a tree or something, I don't know. But somehow you see this happening. What do you do while you're witnessing these strange people? You know that the police had arrived the night before, but these guys clearly do not look like police officers. And they certainly do not look Brazilian.
So immediately from his shadowy perched spot upon a roof, Nas is going to seemingly speak into his wand and say, several projects have been compromised.
Okay. What do you do then?
I am going to make my way back to the trees where the group had disappeared to last night.
Whenever you want to pop in to be involved in this scene, you just tell me. So what's happening now is that Anna, you go through the Flu network, and you will find yourself at the fireplace of the house that the agents are in right now.
She will pause before she does anything and heighten her hearing and her sense of smell to try to determine if anyone else is here.
Roll observe, hearing or smelling.
Just out of curiosity, what would I roll for hearing checks?
For you, go ahead, roll me a 2d6 and add 2d4. And I would even let you take advantage of this on this. So keep the 2d4s that you have and roll 2d6s with an advantage if you'd like.
Okay.
Is that just for him or for me too?
I will say you'll get an advantage on these as well.
I am going to keep what I rolled for my...
Did you get a critical success?
Damn near. I got a 5 and a 6 for my D6s
Okay.
and a 3 and a 4 for my D4s.
If you want to spy and listen to everything that's happening in this house, you can definitely spy and listen to everything that's happening in this house, if you want to.
A
Yeah,
9.
he's gonna keep an ear out on the house just to make sure anything particularly important doesn't get found.
I got a 6 on my 4s and a 9 on my 6s.
You will very clearly hear that some people are in the basement of this house.
Okay.
But which honestly, like you're used to people being in this house, but there's something different about this presence that's in this house.
Okay, if she will look around the room she is in.
And I'm assuming Ares is with you, correct?
Yes, and she will communicate to him to be quiet. So she will let him start sniffing around, and then she will slowly move into the room and see what details she can notice.
Which room?
The fireplace room. Is there any bridge here? Is there any?
The house, other than the basement, seems unusually quiet and empty. And the couple, you know the couple who live here very well, because they have been the ones that have been helping the refugees through. So there doesn't seem to be any sign of them right now. And you can't help but feel something ominous about that. It just doesn't feel right and sit well with you. And Ares is going to sniff the air, and he's going to move towards the door that leads to the basement, and that door is open right now, and you probably will see a light coming from the basement, which makes sense because that's where you hear all the people, whoever's down there.
Very quickly, she will take out a piece of parchment, and she will. Is there any pen or anything she could write with in the room?
I'm sure there is.
She'll take it and she'll write. She draw a picture of a skull and cross it out, and she'll fold it up and kind of send it. She'll send it through the flue back to where
Sure.
it came from.
Yes, you can do that.
And whoever receives it will know that this location is no longer safe.
Has been compromised.
Been
Okay.
compromised, but she will also, before she sends it, she will write parents and children first. So like indicating that they should also leave the house where she was last. She'll hesitatingly move towards the basement.
You'll move towards the basement. I'm assuming you're going to go down the stairs to investigate.
She'll go
'Cause
to the door and see if she can, like, listen in or figure.
I will say that you will be able to hear the end of the conversation that just happened amongst the three people. Pretty much you arrived shortly after Felix went downstairs. So you'll be able to hear them talking. I forgot what was the very last thing you guys were talking about, but I think you were talking about you think that some people are in here because they were making werewolves or forcing people to become werewolves or something like
Or
that.
they were werewolf hunters, right? That's what he was
And
saying.
yes,
So-
you'll also hear about the werewolf hunters. Yes.
Okay, so she'll hear the words werewolf hunters. And she'll like tense